And peace, world. Happy New Year. I'm happy to see you. Welcome to another episode of NYP Talk Show, the coolest, most laid back, conscious, I say, platform within the conscious space.
Yes.
Anti the BS, controlling of our own narrative. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. We have super chats. We have merch on the website. And without you, none of this could have been possible. So continue supporting. Shout out to Ron Brown. Shout out to the NYP family, our viewers and listeners. I'm happy. Happy New Year again, my people.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year for this Gregorian calendar, though we celebrate the real New Year in March, 21st, the solstice, but whatever. But that's another conversation. But yes, as you can see, my people, we have Miss Ayaba Wynn with us this evening. How are you doing, Miss Ayaba?
Happy New Year. Feliz Año Nuevo. Today is the last day. I'm going to say Happy New Year. I'm tired of saying Happy New Year to everybody.
Yeah, that's it, man.
I'm tired of it.
You're tired of it, right? On this Three Kings Day, right? We say that's it, right? No more. Right?
Three Kings Day as well.
Yeah,
very important day.
Peace to the people. So tonight's topic is where spirit dwells, creating a sacred altar space. Tonight's show will be based on creating altar spaces, and Ayaba Wynn will give her her own perspective on how to create a space for your ancestral worship or where you want to reconnect with your spirituality. So give us a walkthrough, Miss Ayaba.
Yeah, so we are at the beginning of 2026, and we know that there's so much happening in the world. And whether we choose to watch the news and TV or not, somehow it makes its way into our life. And so we have to maintain our zen. We have to maintain our peace. And the first place that we maintain our peace is within our home and within our life. And we can start with our spiritual altar.
Yes.
As many of the viewers know, I am a daughter of Oya. I'm a priestess of Oya. And as a part of our tradition in Lukumi Santeria, we set up a spiritual altar called an abobara. And so this is where we have our glasses of water, which are vessels for the spirits to transport down to, travel and to fill our spirits with their presence.
Got you. So a boveda, and as I seen before, with the glasses of water, it consists of glasses of water between 7 to 21 or to.
Look, in my Ocha house, we started out with a glass, okay, and then you build your ebobara up based on spiritual investigations, which we call misas or white tables. And these are, very popular in Espiritismo, where we lead, spiritual investigations. The elder priests who conduct these misas, become detectives.
Gotcha.
And we all collaborate on trying to help develop the other people that are in attendance in this spiritual mass, which also includes, and the foundation of this spiritual mass is the glass of water, the candle, okay? And we put flowers up there on the spiritual table as well. You can also put, different colonas, agua florida, Florida water, Pompeia, Canango water, tobacco, white, the orange blossom, whatever Colonas you want. Siete machos. Okay, especially if you're in 21 divisions, each one of our spirits, they call, and Colonna 1800. That's another big one.
Yeah, I've seen that one
way back, right? And so, you have these different colonas there to refresh your altar, to call the spirits in your cordon espiritual, your quadro
Mm-hmm.
espiritual, your spiritual quadrant. And I
Mm-hmm.
call it, when I do readings for people who are not really in the tradition, I call it your spiritual entourage. And everybody walks with an entourage, whether they know it or not, whether they like it or not, there's an
Yeah.
entourage of spirits. And they could be your spirit guides, which
Mm-hmm.
have an affinity to you and not necessarily related to you by blood. And then you have your ancestors, your muertos, your eguns, that are connected to you by blood.
Got you.
And so this is where they all convene at this spiritual altar.
That's yeah, yeah. It's basically your spirit. Your altar is your hub, your artillery, something like
Oh
that.
my God, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. So, what spiritual responsibility comes with maintaining your altar?
Well, I mean, if you want to develop as a spiritualist, you
Mm-hmm.
have to be at your boba every day. Okay.
Oh,
Whether
really?
it's the morning or whether it's the nighttime, you know, I was taught you greet the day
Mm-hmm.
with going to the abobada. Okay. Some people prefer to shower first
Yeah.
and then they go to their abobada and they do their cleaning with the, agua florida, and they, extend their hands out and they could say light, peace, and progress, to the spirits of, and go down the list of all the spirits that they're aware of.
Okay.
And, these spirits that they're aware of could be based on spiritual investigations through Misa White Table that
Mm-hmm.
were identified for them.
Got you.
Sometimes the spirit guides, they show up in your dream and they tell you who they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, with that, we stand at the abobada. We clean off with the colonna, whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is you choose, and you start connecting with them. Light, peace, and progress. Our Father, Hail Mary. The Psalms. Talk about what's going on with your day, how you want your day to go, where you need the spirits to help you. And you always pray for the spirits' upliftment and evolution. You pray for the forgiveness of their sins in the earthly plane and their advancement in the spiritual plane. And
Uh,
then, you talk to them, even though you can't see them, they're there. The veil is thin. Okay. And
mm,
once you finish, what we were taught is to knock 3 times.
yeah. Well, why is that?
It's just to, you can knock 3 times to alert them and let them know, like, okay, we're coming here to have like a little powwow, to have a
Mm-hmm.
discussion about, what's going on in my life, where I need you today.
Mm-hmm.
Say you have a busy, you have a really busy, intense business meeting coming up. Okay. And there's money on the line. You tell them, be like, look, and that's with respect. Look, I need you guys, I'm willing dealing with these people. They got big money, deep pockets,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to secure about 100,000, to, put this business in motion,
Yeah.
you know,
Definitely.
and if like some of your ancestors or your spirit guides are big with money, your grandfather owned a chain of stores or whatever, or he was a big real estate person in Flatbush or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You like, look, grandpa, I know you got this. You were big when you were alive. I need you to be super present,
Gotcha.
and, you know, if you need him to be super present, light up a candle for him, you know, um, light a candle. You can, pour a glass of liquor if your grandfather liked to drink Ray and Nephew, or,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, some punching, whatever his preference was. You
Mm-hmm.
you know, you pour a glass for him. You could even spray the area, drop, do some libation for him and be like,
Exactly.
look, Baba, I need you there. And I thank you for being in my life.
Do,
And
do
boom, that's it.
Are you
That's
allowed
how
to
you
put like
work.
tobacco products on your altar? Like, say for instance, like I know different practices they tend to use tobacco, right?
Yeah,
Like
like you
tobacco
definitely,
leaf,
the
cigars,
same thing, you
cigarettes.
definitely have a cigar to get in that meditative space, but also the tobacco, if you're from the Caribbean, especially South America or any region where it was somewhat tropical, tobacco was one of the main products,
Yeah.
that the Africans were forced to, cultivate at one.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the tobacco was also a spiritual thing for the indigenous people, to connect with spirit. So definitely, yeah. You want to light up a cigar, a black and mild, whatever it is, get it popping. You chewing some tobacco as you're
Yeah.
talking to them, whatever works for you.
Definitely, definitely. So, like for instance, this is just a generic question. What if someone who's not initiated in these ATR movements, right, practices or sciences, and they would like to create an altar? How can one go about that? Say they don't have no background of no knowledge of no African spiritual practice systems, and they just feel like I want to create an altar. Something is compelling me to create an altar. How
Um,
should he or she go about that?
yeah, sure. So, I always have my foundation with both myself and my godchildren in my Ocha house. We start off with a white cloth. That's the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I show fum fum. It's the white cloth. And so you lay down the white cloth, and then the foundation is you get a big glass. We call it a God glass,
Mm-hmm.
which is incorporates all your spirits, because a lot of times when you're first beginning, you don't know who's what,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you may know you have a spirit team or you may not, and you're hoping to get one. So what you do is you fill up that glass of water and you're
Yeah.
praying, light, peace, and progress to the guides and protections of, Alexis Smith, light, peace. And this is just, a
Yeah.
made up, but say this person, Alexis Smith, wants to set up this altar. She would
Yeah.
say, light, peace, and progress to the spirit guides and protections of Alexis Smith. She would say it 3 times and
Mm-hmm.
hold it up in the air and say, I dedicate this to you, spirit guides. Help me to build a relationship with you. I'm dedicating this glass of water and this candle, this light to you, and these flowers to you. And I'm praying that this will cement, build, and strengthen our connection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you put in, and what I do is I usually blow my breath in it, just to like strengthen that. And I set it down, and I dedicate the candlelight. It could be
Yeah.
a little penny candle. It could be, one of those big 7-day candles. It could be a little tea light. It don't matter. Okay. It's like
Yeah.
people are stuck on this whole 7-day candle thing. That's great. 7-day candles can, cost a little bit of money.
Yeah.
And
Shoot.
but and also too, if you work like a lot of people do, it's not wise to leave a 7-day candle burning,
Exactly.
especially if you know or you suspect that there's brujeria, obia, witchcraft, dark magic that's being done or something ain't right. And then too, if you got mice running around, a cat, you got children, there's all kinds of knocking and someone can knock it over. You don't want to risk that. So you turn the candles off when you leave the house. But
Mm-hmm.
a little tea light, white candle, you start there. Glass of water, white candle, and then a bouquet of flowers if
Okay.
you have the flowers.
So altar is specific. Can it be just a general altar? It has to be dedicated to a particular deity.
Look, there's many altars, but you always start with your foundation, and the foundation is the abobara. And from there, once you have, once get your consultas, your consultations with
Mm-hmm.
whoever it is, a mambo, hugan, a santera, santero, oba, oriete, a babalao, whoever you go to get the consultation with,
Mm-hmm.
then you start building your altars. So, if you have a connection to Oshun or Ezeli Frida, and so you may not have formally received these entities, these spirits formally, but you know that there's a connection. You can, get a little, a muñeca, a doll, a statue, and set it up on the side and
Gotcha.
have your dedicated spaces. So, I've seen people have, they may not formally have Oshun, but they know that they love Oshun. They're trying to cultivate, a relationship, not only with themselves, self-love, but maybe a relationship with a man or a woman that they would like to romantically be involved with.
Oh,
So
that's
they set up an altar to Oshun, which may include, a glass of water, sunflowers, yellow candles, or gold or orange, a mirror, some makeup, perfume or cologne, and then maybe the statue of Oshun or Ezeli Frida or Anaisa, depending on what tradition you're practicing.
all right. Does the positioning of the altar matters, whether it's on the east, west, north, south?
Um, it would be nice if we could set those things up in that position, unless you've been specifically told. Set it up wherever you can set it up.
Set up where we can set it up, right?
Yeah,
Because I
but
know usually positioning does matter. Like, if it's on the east where the sun rises at, it'd be best to put it on the east. And depending, like, it uh what element it aligns with. You know what I'm saying? If it's for the north for the earth, for the south for fire, west for water, or east, like, do you usually put it there? That's all
yeah,
that's why I ask. Okay.
no, I mean, I love that. And that's, ideal. Like, if you have space, like, if you have a nice brownstone in New York City, or you live in the suburbs, you got more space, that's great. But sometimes in New York City, with city living, where things are tight, it may be a challenge to put the ebobra or the spiritual altars in those positions. So if you can do that, definitely tap into that energy, because feng shui,
Yeah.
is definitely based on where you position things, where you position the bed, where you position the mirrors, a water feature, like a little water fountain, candles, plants, and all that stuff. So if you can do that, that's great. But spirits are going to come. They're going to come
And they're gonna.
no matter where they are.
All right. And how about as far as, like, say, I'm glad you mentioned that not having the space, right? Depending on where you live at, on the
Yeah.
person's living situation. Can you have an altar within the same sharing the same living space as you, like a bedroom, or is it not ideal to have in the bedroom?
Look, my aboboda is in my bedroom.
Oh,
The
really?
bedroom is the most intimate space. Okay. And it's intimate because you sleep there. And when you sleep, are you vulnerable or are you not vulnerable?
You are vulnerable, but I asked that because, say outside of that's the intimate space of us sleeping and resting. That what if you, like, you and your partner are engaged in some kind of intimacy? Do you feel it's safe to do that in front of your altar?
Sure. Look, to each his own. If you want to, I've heard of people, covering the altar. They'll have like a white cloth and they'll cover it, okay, while they're engaged in sex, and that's fine. But whether the altar is in your room or not, the spirits see you. They see you having sex. We don't want to know that they're watching us because it's like a little weird.
Yeah.
But the house is an intimate space, and granted, like, I have orishas because I'm a priest of Ocha.
Okay.
My Ocha is not inside my bedroom. Okay. And especially with the orishas, and I'm sure with the loas and voodoo and whatever other traditions, you should not be walking around them naked
Yeah.
willingly, and and having sex in front of them and all of that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the abobada, for some people, they need to have it in their room. People have night terrors and they're being levitated out of the bed.
Oh,
You
nah,
know
come
what I'm
on.
saying? And like,
You sound like the Exorcist now. Come on, come on.
look, it's real. It's real. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it's real.
You
What
know
people
what she
say,
did? Your
paralysis.
effing daughter. So some Exorcist stuff taking place. Like, come on, man. Come on.
I mean, look, it's real. Like this shit is real. Okay. And I know people, there's some people that are very formal and traditional and particular, and we call that maniatico. They're very like, it
Mhm.
has to stay in this place and it has to be there.
Mhm.
But, in spiritual traditions, you have to allow for flexibility. Okay. And, um, as long as you're in alignment with the majority of the practices, you have
Yeah.
to be flexible. And I know some traditions, yeah, you can't have sex. There's nothing spiritual in your room. But again, some people get consultas, they get readings, or they speak with their godparent and they're having night terrors.
You said
There's spirits in their room. They're being lifted out of the bed. Like, I'm telling you, this is real. And so you
really?
got to have spiritual protections in your bedroom. And what better thing to put in your bedroom than the spiritual altar?
The spiritual altar. Okay, I got you. So so based on that perspective, I understand where you're coming from now. From that in that scenario, we
And
bet.
look,
Mhm.
some people, they got it so bad sleeping that they got to sleep with feathers, birds under the bed.
Now, hold up. Now, you said what? Birds under the bed?
If you got a succubus or an incubus harassing you at night while you sleep, trying to have sex with you, okay, there are certain remedies and certain prescriptions
Mm-hmm.
and rituals includes having a bird under the bed. And
Oh
that's how
wow.
bad it is. And people don't talk about it. They're scary. They don't know what to do with it. But look, I've read a ton of people. I've been in this tradition since 2000. And I'm sure,
Mm-hmm.
there's people that are older than me. Much respect to the elders. Okay. But actively in this tradition since 2000. Active. And people got it bad. And people don't talk about it. They don't talk about it. And there's some serious stuff. There's
So
some serious stuff going on.
Derek Weatherspoon said, "Wow, yeah, that's wow." Like I heard of night terrorism, people being attacked by different entities and stuff, and I usually recommend you go back to the basics to guard yourself. You get some garlic, you know what I'm saying. You say a few words over it. It's your intentions too, securing your mind. What you eat also. If you consume alcohol before bed,
Yep.
you gotta be careful with that too.
Mm-hmm.
Purify your home, consecrate your area, and that the fact that I'm saying consecration, when adding particular items on your altar, should they be it should be purified and consecrated, right?
Of
You said the same
course.
thing, yeah.
People, when they know you're in the tradition, they want to
Mhm.
bring you gifts. They want to bring you a seashell or a stone, a crystal, you
Mhm.
know, jewelry, whatever, a fancy mirror, whatever it is. You got to say prayers over that. You got to get some holy water, some agua florida. If you got some herbs mixed up,
Mhm.
you got to bless it, say prayers over it before you sit anything down at that altar. Because you could sit something down. Maybe someone got you a muñeca, they got you a doll from
Mhm.
Ghana or
Yeah.
from Panama. And the doll looks beautiful. And they say, here, and you're like, oh, I love this doll. I'm going to put it right on my altar. You put it on the altar, and you go to sleep. And you really don't go to sleep because you got some spirits running around, making noises. You're seeing shadows. You're hearing people knocking on the wall, knocking on the door, and there's no one there. That's because these things hold spirits. They hold energy. And especially if you like to thrift. We haven't even gotten into thrifting and secondhand stuff. We have
Well,
not gotten into
we could go directly into that. So
that.
within that's a good thing you brought a good aspect. So when a person has decided to create a sacred space and build an altar for themselves, right?
Yes.
Do you prefer for them to use, if it's not passed down from your tradition or an elder, it's best to use new items, right? Like, does the cloth plays a part? The color of the cloth, because color holds vibration. Does that
Yeah.
play a part when creating your altar?
Yeah. I would say if you're a beginner,
Mm-hmm.
even if you've entered in as a novice in voodoo or a novice, an aleo in Lukumi Santeria, and you're just getting started, your foundation is always Asho Fum Fum, the white cloth. Always. Okay. You're not gonna put black down. You
Mm-hmm.
put black down, it sounds like you about to work some brujeria and cultivate some dark energy. Or you know what I'm saying? Like
Really?
sometimes it
Mm-mm.
depends on the work you're doing.
Okay.
Sometimes there's spiritual work that requires you to lay down a black cloth and work
Mm-hmm.
with black candles, like reversals and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm not negating that. That's fine and judgment free. But
Mm-hmm.
as a beginner who, 9 times out of 10, you're coming into these ATR traditions,
Yeah.
okay, because you have had phenomenal experiences happen to you,
Mm-hmm.
or there's a missing link and you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you're a baby. Just as when you make Ocha and you receive your crown in Ocha Santo, you make Santo, you're a baby. The Yawo is a baby, just
Mm-hmm.
beginning in the tradition. So you
Mm-hmm.
gotta walk before you run, crawl before you walk, right?
Yeah.
And so
Gotcha.
we always start with the white cloth. And unless your Baba, your Madrina, your Padrino, your godparent has said, no, for you, you need to have an altar and we need to make it all red.
Mm.
You may have a pombagira from, Brazil.
Or the candomblé. I think I'm saying correctly. Candomblé.
Candomblé,
Okay.
Umbanda, Kimbanda,
Kimbanda. Yeah. Candomblé.
all those
Kimbanda.
traditions that, they love pombagira, which
Yeah.
is, she's a woman of the night. They portray her as a woman of the night, but she's
Mm-hmm.
very close to Eshu. And, she has that Papa Legba ish energy,
Mm-hmm.
and there's different interpretations of who she is. But, she oftentimes you'll see her altars with red and black.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Very passionate colors.
Yes.
Red and black. All right. So how can I go about, say I got my altar set up, right? And I'm only speaking for educational purposes. Because it's something I know how to do already, but just for the sake of listeners and viewers, right? You got your altar set up, and you were told, like, this is a place, your altar is a sacred space where you invite your ancestors to come work with you and your spirit guide.
Mm-hmm.
How can I set up boundaries so that no malevolent forces can enter that cipher?
Okay. So the space and where you have your altar and or your altars
Yeah.
is very important. Okay.
Yeah.
We work with a spiritual chalk called cascarilla, okay, which
Yeah.
is made of powdered eggshell.
Mm-hmm.
And we use that especially with our ancestor shrine, which is separate from our abobara. So the ancestor shrine holds our ancestral spirits in our bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
And so in order to, make a distinction of spirits of the light of our ancestors, we
Yeah.
draw a circle around the area with this spiritual chalk.
Yeah.
And so that means that when we give light,
Mm-hmm.
candlelight, when we give flowers, when we put food down, liquor, it is for our ancestors only, or for whatever spirits we're working with, and not for spirits of our neighbors next door.
Hold on, beloved. Somebody said a lot root. What is that? Can you
I don't know what a lot is.
I don't know what a lot root is, but can you educate me on that? I'll be glad to know what that is. You may continue, sister.
And so, we draw that line using the chalk. Okay. And they do that in Wicca too. You draw the circle,
Yeah.
circle of protection.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You can put sea salt around the area if you don't have the cascarilla until you can get the cascarilla or whatever spiritual chalk. I know in voodoo is the cornmeal, right? To do the
We
bebes
yeah,
and
they use cornmeal flour.
cornmeal flour, whatever. Okay. And so
Mm-hmm.
any of these things is you have to set your intention
Tell
as you're
them.
doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And we even do it over the doors that enter into our house.
Oh, using that what
We put
gopher's
the
dust,
lines over the doors. Yes.
brick dust, gopher's dust, whatever.
You could do brick dust. The brick dust goes down on the floor over the threshold.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's a very hoodoo, very southern thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But you got to set your intention with that. But we work with the cascarilla by, putting the marks over our door. And with each mark, we're saying prayers to protect us from iku, from death and evil spirits.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like root or obio. It's all spiritualism, just so you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. We know that, brother. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, we know that.
We
Thank
know
you.
that. Thank you, though. Yeah, appreciate that. But yeah, because he said something else about some root word. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is all, you will see similarities in every tradition. Okay. And so if you're a purist, a lot of times you will have issues with other people in other traditions. Okay. Or variations of a tradition. And
Mm-hmm.
there's big disputes between Isheshe and Ifa practice in say Cuba. Okay, there's the what's happening in Africa and what's happening in Cuba. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and so there's disputes there. There's disputes between Ifa and Lukumi, Santaria. It's always going to be something, but the origins are are similar. Okay.
Yeah, different practice. I always use the same analogy, and it's like a constant repeat. I will say we all learn in the same house, but just in different rooms. That's
Yes.
it. Same house, different rooms, and different rooms and different rules. But the elements stay the same. Water is water. It could be
Yes.
rain, sleet, snow, rain. Water is water in different forms.
Oh
You get
yes.
you get what I'm saying? So we can all have different perspective, but as a person has a fundamental mind
Mm-hmm.
without barriers, they could just navigate and see the similarities.
Mm-hmm.
So we protect our altar, our home, by building a consecrated support circle, a security circle, right? Because I've seen that done in other forms of like high magic ceremonies. We create a circle to create that barrier for your altar. So how
Yes.
can once one begins to work with he or she's altar, and they build that relationship with them, with their spirit, how can they, like, say they go and they have their little powwow with their spiritual circle, how can they make sure that it's fully secure when it's time to close it? Like, okay, we got the circle in place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Should they also like say like a particular prayer before going in there?
Sure. The foundation, at least in my tradition, the foundation is the Allan Kardec book and the
Yeah,
book of, Espiritism,
I got that book.
Espiritismo,
I still got that
right?
book. Yeah, I still.
Mm-hmm. And it's an ancient book. Like, I
Is
hate
it,
reading it
is it
because
this
it's
one?
like, it's almost like, yes.
The one with Johnny Depp on the cover?
Oh my God. There's a new book that's out that it's a modernized version and I love it. I didn't pull it. It's somewhere up on my shelf. Okay,
Yeah.
but you start out the prayers with inviting good spirits, spirits of the light, spirits from your spirit team. Okay,
Hmm.
you got to set the terms. All right. These spirits, and I don't want to like manhandle the spirits and be and portray it to be like you being disrespectful to the spirits, but
Hmm.
you gotta set the tone and
Hmm.
you gotta be very specific about inviting spirits of the light. Okay, because if you're just saying, okay, everybody come through, it becomes like Grand Central Station or Times Square, and
Hmm.
you really got some spiritual issues.
So you got
Okay,
to command them, basically.
you got to command them, but in a
Okay.
respectful way,
All
and be
right.
like, look, I'm not having no, dark entities or the neighbor next door or even my roommate for that matter. you
Hmm.
you belong to my roommate, you stay over there. You know what I'm saying? And so you got to set the foundation and the ground rules.
Mm-hmm.
And you do it with respect. And there are prayers where you invite the good spirits to come in. That is an opening prayer for misas, for, white tables and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you say your prayers and boom, 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 and you give your spirits some tasks to do to work things out for you, then you close it and you say thank you for everything you've done, and you properly close it that way. Thank you, good spirits, for guiding me, continue to
Gotcha.
bless and protect and support me. And so many words. People have their own, spins and takes on that.
Mm. All right. Does like see, wow. I'm glad you said that. I had another question. I'm thinking right now because it's like so many things running through. So after we do that, we close our altar oil. We prayed. Are there particular days? Should we set a particular schedule for our altar?
Yeah, I mean, if you're if you're organized like that, if you were OCD type A personality,
Mm-hmm.
or if you're not and you're trying to, for 2026, trying
Mm-hmm.
to be that way, then do it. If you know in the morning you're not a morning person, and everything is always in a rush, try
Mm-hmm.
to incorporate something, at least cleaning off with the Florida water, boom, 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 like peace and progress. I'm praying you guide me through the day, bless and protect every breath and every step I take. Thank you very much. Boom, boom, knock 3 times. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
be out the door. But if you really want to get into it, you set the time where you can dedicate at least 15 to 20 minutes sitting and meditating, whatever that means to you.
Sitting and meditating, definitely 15 minutes a day, right?
Yeah, and people always tell me, okay, you need to meditate. And I would be like, what does that mean? Meditation could be you sitting in quiet,
Mm-hmm.
but for me, sometimes it's sitting in quiet, but because I practice in Hinduism as well with the
Damn,
mantras and that
damn.
ancient Sanskrit, which is super potent and powerful,
Mm-hmm.
I will incorporate mantras.
Really?
Yes, in that 15, 20 minutes. It's my traditional, majubas, my ibayes, my kinkamaches, my alafias. Okay. And then it's going into, the maybe the traditional prayers, Our Father, Hail Mary, if I want to. Then I, get into it. I just have a conversation with them. Look, having, challenges with this, boom, 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 help me out, blah, blah, blah.
Mm.
Okay. And then, you close it out.
Any offerings should be made on the altar?
Yeah, you can. Like, even, you lighting an incense, you
Mm-hmm.
putting down cafe negro or cafe con, azúcar, a black coffee with sugar, cafe con leche, whatever it is that you're going to offer. You could put down cake, cookies, candy, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um a bottle of liquor, or pour some beer out in a glass, whatever offerings. Just do not let anything rot or go bad on your
Most
altar.
definitely, it'll go bad because I have speaking. As you know, I have about 4 altars.
You got a plethora. You have a ton of
Right, I got 4 altars. I'll keep it real. Ancestral and others are stuff I deal with. You know, within my culture, and there are times when I first got into it. And again, I'm a novice. I always tell people I'm a novice in this at this. When I first started, I used to be like, I want to see signs if these things are really there, the power. And being in person, very reluctant about that. I don't see that till one day I actually start seeing signs. Started feeling that the presence is there. I'm like, oh shoot, this stuff is real.
hmm
I had that mind on that Western mind, like I gotta see it to believe it. It's all science.
Yeah.
Don't believe that stuff is spooky. It's showing me different. I've seen it for myself, and
Okay.
and I always tell people, it's about keeping your altar clean, respecting your altar, the time, not using vulgarity around them,
Yes.
being
Very
noisy.
important.
Very important. Yeah, spiritual hygiene. You got to be clean.
And again, that spiritual hygiene is big. And it's like, okay, so you have your spiritual altar set up,
Mm-hmm.
but your room is a wreck. No.
Mm-hmm.
I was always told that your space is a reflection of what is going on in your mind. what
Mm-hmm.
is happening to you emotionally, psychologically. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. There have been times where I looked around and the room is a wreck from, you know, running, in and out the house, going to work, going to, be work a ceremony, going out with friends, whatever. And then I come back, the clothes are all over the place. You don't feel like cleaning anything up because you're exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
But let me tell you that the spirits will come to you. And my grandmother came to me, God rest her soul, Ibaye, Carmen Jimenez. She came to
Mm-hmm.
me in my dream, and she was maniatica when she was alive. She was OCD. She needed everything in its place. She came to me in my dream, and she said, "Those clothes over there on that chair, you better take those clothes off that chair and clean up this place, because
Mm.
this is not a good look." She said it in so many words. Okay. And you didn't have
Definitely.
to tell me twice. Once I got up, I was like, oh no, we cannot, we cannot be living this way. And it wasn't like it was just clothes all over the place. So you got to make sure your space, especially where your altar is clean as best as you can.
Yeah, your mind. Everything plays a part. Everything factor in. The physical, it's the physical and the spiritual is hand to hand. So you gotta
Because
make
you
sure.
got to look at yourself, and
Mhm.
in this tradition, in Lukumi Santeria and many of the traditions, it's not about getting these energies, receiving Santo, receiving the Loa to
Mhm.
be throwing shit at people. It's not about that.
Exactly.
It is about you developing yourself,
Mhm.
helping you to survive in this world, in this earthly plane, in this earthly existence, because there is a wickedness out here.
Of
Okay.
course.
You can
Of
either
course.
have hell on earth or heaven on earth.
It's all,
Okay.
it's all a state of mind. That's all it
It's
is.
a state of mind, but also you are amidst people that are agents in disguise. They are spirits that are masking themselves behind people. Okay. And so with that, you gotta have this is your artillery. This is your army that you are building up. These are the people that are gonna go, these are the spirits that are gonna go to bat for you. They're going
Mhm.
to make sure that when you go out there in that world, that those crazy people on the train don't slap you in the face. They slap somebody else. You don't want them to slap anybody. But you don't want to be the one where they slap you in the face.
I call that that's mental hygiene right there. That's a mental health issue. Those people
It's a
that
mental health issue, but I have had people in the
Mhm.
tradition, not in the tradition, and they should have been working their spirits or whatever. They
Mhm.
got yoked up out in the street by strangers.
Yeah, I know. Yo, don't get me wrong. Yeah, because negative energy attaches to the weakest link, and that's why I say about keeping your spiritual hygiene up to par is constantly in a good positive state of frequency, meditation, washing off with herbs, watching what you intake, what you listen to, what you watch. You know what I'm saying? You gotta keep yourself clean, keep your temper at bay,
You
control
got
your.
to you got to stay cool. And in
You gotta
many
stay
of our
cool.
African based traditions, it is good to stay cool.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is the cooling energy is cultivated by doing the herb baths, working with the plants and the herbs. Okay. And cultivating a relationship, a connection with the plant spirits. Okay. And I know people like to smoke the plants, they like to smoke the herb, and I get it. But even when you smoke the herb, okay, there is a spirit attached to it. And I have friends that they smoke it, but they ask permission before they smoke every time they light up.
A word.
Yes, because they talk into the marijuana plant. And nowadays you don't know where this weed is coming from. It's the people
Laced with
are getting
fentanyl.
fentanyl, K2. I've
Mhm.
seen it. People are going cray cray out here.
And not to veer off this topic of altar, because we said as much as we can about the altar, but I want to speak more about what's happening within these spiritual sciences, the community. I had
Mhm.
a few guests up on here. Shout out to Zania Robinson, who was on. I'm saying Robinson Rodriguez. She was on here and she spoke
Uh,
about locally as well.
okay.
And we see what's going on within. even within the Haitian voodoo community, there are a lot of people out there that are preying on the weak, right?
Yeah.
And pretending to be gatekeepers and such of what's taking place. They like giving people misinformation. How do you view that?
Look, and I've seen people go online and, look, I'm a daughter of Voya.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, what better person to know about their relationship with Oya than a person who has been initiated in the mysteries of Oya.
Mm-hmm.
But you have people out there who, they may have read the book
Mm-hmm.
about who Oya is or who Shango is or Oshun or whatever, and they tell the stories to educate. But there's a line that you have to be very careful with, because there's a lot of people out here watching this that are craving information, and that's where people become vulnerable, because they take anything in and they run with it.
I
And
want to
so
further elaborate on that too.
huh?
Not only information misinformation, you got they preying on people that are misinformed in the sense of they are giving them false expectations in
Yeah.
regards of initiation, right?
Yeah.
They are running these so-called houses like it's a cult, right? And some of them are sexually they deviants.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard stories, okay? And I would not blame that on any tradition, okay? It's not the tradition. It's
Mhm.
the person
The person,
that
exactly.
saw the power that they would get
Mhm.
from initiation as a high priest in whatever tradition, and they abused it. And a lot of times when you go through initiation, they say once you
Mhm.
become initiated as a priest, Mambo Hugan, it makes you more of who you are. It
Mm.
magnifies. So if you are a Dutchy person before you get initiated and you get initiated,
Mhm.
you might be much Dutchier. Okay.
Mm.
And the ego gets super inflated because now you got this crown. Okay. And now you want to like preach to the masses that you got this and this, and I'll do this, I'll make this bath and all that. And I'm just like, wait a minute. I'm looking at some of these people. I'm like, I wouldn't buy a damn thing from you, because I don't know what kind of spirit, what kind of energy you working with. I'm sorry.
So they're gonna ship
People got
you.
to be very careful.
They're gonna ship you a pot with chicken bones in there with from KFC. Talking about they've been charged.
No,
Greasy
no,
ass chicken
it
bones,
don't
right?
work like that. It don't work like
Okay.
that. Like I said, I have
Mm-hmm.
godchildren that flew out from California to
Mm-hmm.
get what they needed to get. Okay. And then they were able to bring it however they would needed to bring it back. I had people coming in from Ohio. Okay. And you do what you got to do. You hop your ass on the plane or on the bus, and you bring yourself to get what you need. Okay. You got to actually know what's going on. No, you're not going to know what's inside of the Elegba. You're not going to know what's inside the Osun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because it's not your business. If you are not initiated as a priest in the tradition, no, you cannot know what's in there. Okay. But just know that you got it from a reputable source. Okay. And so, people really have to do their research, okay? Because this tradition is community. It's community.
Community
And we
based.
all got to check each other.
Yeah. Is there a council that handles like a council of affairs that handles all these like mishaps that take place? Any malfeasance?
You would like to think like every Ocha house, every voodoo house, they have a council or a group of elders.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes those elders ain't no better than the next person.
That's
And
a fact.
sometimes some of the people, they be co-signing bullshit. Okay. And I got to be honest with you. There are some elders that are very reputable, and they don't put up with anything. Okay. Provided that they know the whole story. And I have been in different ceremonies where there have been priests that try to shortchange people that were being crowned in Ocha. And I had elder priests come and blast that person on the spot in front of everybody. Where is this Yawo's food? Why am I not seeing food in this kitchen? Okay, you better have somebody run out and buy a couple of $100 worth of groceries, because we're not doing this ceremony without food for the Yawa.
Got you.
So, if you don't speak up, you are complicit with the bullshit. You are complicit with the nonsense. And as elders, if you see something is wrong, you got to speak up. Because if you don't, you co-sign it. And that doesn't bode well, and that's why some people have had very troubling experiences, not just in my tradition, but in other traditions as well. There's always going to be politics, that.
Of course.
People are always going to, their heads are going to be gassed up. But we got to be careful. We got to know, we got to know what we're getting into, because playing with people's spirituality it's not a joke. It's not a game.
I got you. Peace.
You can open up Pandora's box, and then it's hard to close it.
It's true. It's true. And I'm glad that we had you here on that, because I know the altar is something that it's a conversation. It's not as deep as one can make it. You know what I'm saying? But it could I'm glad it gives you the foundation of how one can create a sacred space. Make sure it's clean, smudge it out, incense it out, tablecloth. Go with the most basic thing. Don't try to make it elaborate because you see someone else's altar. You can be like, I want to imitate how that looks, make mine like that, because they walk maybe different from yours.
It's all a sensory experience, and you have to be connected to the things that you have, and do not allow someone else to dictate what you put on your altar, unless it's a godparent and they have a justified reason for that.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So if you got, your boyfriend or your girlfriend's like, yeah, why don't you put this? Why don't you put that? No, how about we set up an altar for you? You can have your altar. I can have my altar.
Peace. We got somebody watching from Libya.
Oh my God. Hello, Libya.
Peace, Libya. in the motherland. That's what's up.
Wow, that's amazing. Shout out.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, and so that's a part of it, because if you want your third eye to strengthen, you want that kundalini to rise, that spiritual current, so that you can have this spiritual awakening, so that you can commune with the spirit, so that you can, when you work Mises, spiritual masses, spiritual investigations, your ashe, your spirit, your intuition is going to be popping. And you want it to pop like that, you got to sit at your aboba every day. Make time. And I said the formula is at least 15 to 20 minutes a day.
That's it. I respect that, sis. People that are watching, are listening, don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. We got super chats. The sister is doing a great job. I'm your brother, Mikey Fever. Keep your eye out on the show. We have more of this coming up. We got to bring her back up to speak more about these subjects, because she's very knowledgeable.
So look, I just wanted to say that there is a priest of Shango, Oba Adedayo. He is originally from New York, but he's down, I think, in Atlanta now. He has written a book. Oh gosh, where's the book?
It's your background, man.
Here it is.
What's cool?
A glass of water and a candle. Okay. And you can get it on Amazon, and it's a basic guide to guide you. He is in the tradition. And so you will be able to set up your altar, with the guidance of Oba Adedayo's book. Okay. And he's a priest of Ocha. I believe he was crowned in Cuba. He's a massive historian. So this is definitely credible. I definitely co-sign this.
A glass
of water and a candle.
Okay. That's it. See, it's very simple.
Okay. And it's Oba Adedayo. Okay. And you can get that on Amazon. But if you're in the tradition already, you probably don't need this, but sometimes people like to keep the book in their collection, and in case you get have godchildren, you can be like, look, you can either take this book or buy it online.
Yeah, you can also, it's you're never too old to learn. You know,
Never too old to
every
learn.
day you learn every day. Every day's a lesson. Oh my God, yeah, I appreciate you for coming out tonight for real, Yaba. You did your thing. Where can the people reach you at?
So I am on Instagram at Ayabas Ayabas Win WYND
Mm-hmm.
WYND, and you can the page is private, but just you could either send me DM me and tell me that you heard me on at the NYP Talk Show,
Yeah.
or just put in a follow request, and then you can we can get it started. I read in Namaste Bookshop on Fridays from 4 to 8 p.m., but you will
Mhm.
have to book online because I stay booked. Okay.
Yeah, she's on
And,
point.
huh?
I was telling him she's on point with her craft. She's on point.
It's the spirits. All,
Mm-hmm.
all praise and honor due to the Egun Maferi Fumoya Mboborisha Bobegun.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can find me there. And then, I'm doing general readings now for all the signs, the astrological signs. So I have
Mm.
posted for Virgo, Libra, and Leo, and I'm gonna post some more tonight. So if you want to go online and check out your quickie general read, you can. It'll probably be available after 11.
All right, that's peace, man. Listeners and viewers, NYP family, don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, super chats. Check out the website. We have merch. Thank you for all that you have done. Happy New Year to everyone. Happy New Year to you, Sister Yabas, as
Happy
well.
New Year.
And with that being said, we are up out of here, my people. Peace and love.
Peace.
Peace. And we out.